Global tanker service operate 2 DC-10 tankers for lease. 4 have been built. The DC-10 air tanker is a DC-10 based firefighting tanker aircraft, using modified water tanks from Erickson Air Crane. MD-10 upgrade, edit. MD-10 redirects here. For the Maryland State Highway, see MD-10. The MD-10 is an upgrade to add a glass cockpit to the DC-10 with the redesignation to MD-10. The upgrade included an advanced common flight deck used on the MD-11 and was launched in September 1996. The program was continued by Boeing after its merger with McDonnell Douglas in 1997, and the first MD-10 flew on the 14th of April 1999. The new cockpit eliminated the need for the flight engineer position and allowed common type rating with the MD-11. This has allowed companies such as FedEx Express, which operated both the MD-10 and MD-11, to use a common pilot pool for both aircraft. The MD-10 conversion now falls under the Boeing Converted Freighter program, where Boeing's international affiliate companies perform the conversions. Operators, edit. See also, list of McDonnell Douglas DC-10 operators. As of January 2023, one MD-10 is in commercial service with TAB Airlines. On the 8th of January 2007, Northwest Airlines retired its last remaining DC-10 from scheduled passenger service, thus ending the aircraft's operations with major airlines. Regarding the retirement of Northwest's DC-10 fleet, Wade Blorfuss, spokesman for the Northwest chapter of the Airline Pilots Association, said, "The DC-10 is a reliable airplane, fun to fly, roomy and quiet, kind of like flying an old Cadillac Fleetwood. We're sad to see an old friend go." Biman Bangladesh Airlines was the last commercial carrier to operate the DC-10 in passenger service. The airline flew the DC-10 on a regular passenger flight for the last time on the 20th of February 2014, from Dhaka, Bangladesh to Birmingham, UK. Local charter flights were flown in the UK until the 24th of February 2014. Biman Bangladesh Airlines was the last operator of the DC-10 in passenger service. Non-airline operators included the Royal Netherlands Air Force with 2 DC-10-30CF-based KDC-10 tanker aircraft until their retirement in 2019 and 2021 respectively, the USAF with its 59 KC-10S, and the 10 tanker air carrier with its modified DC-10-10 used for fighting wildfires. Orbis International has used a DC-10 as a flying eye hospital. Surgery is performed on the ground and the operating room is located between the wings for maximum stability. In 2008, Orbis chose to replace its aging DC-10-10 with a DC-10-30 jointly donated by FedEx and United Airlines. The newer DC-10 was converted into an MD-10 configuration and began flying as an eye hospital in 2010. A modified DC-10 is operated by the Missile Defense Agency as the Wide-Body Airborne Sensor Platform, WASP. Tanker 10 Air Carrier, an aerial firefighting company, operates 4 DC-10-30 aircraft converted for aerial fire suppression retardant drops as of 2022. As of 2024, only one remaining DC-10 is in service as TAB Airlines. Omega Aerial Refueling Services owns 2 DC-10S, N974VV and N264D, with one more DC-10-30CF undergoing conversion, N235UL, as of 2024. Accidents and incidents, edit. As of September 2015, the DC-10 had been involved in 55 accidents and incidents, including 32 hull loss accidents, with 1,261 occupant fatalities. Of these accidents and incidents, it has been involved in 9 hijackings resulting in 1 death and a bombing resulting in 170 occupant fatalities. Despite its poor safety record in the 1970s, which gave it an unfavorable reputation, the DC-10 has proved to be a reliable aircraft with a low overall accident rate as of 1998. The DC-10's initially poor safety record has continuously improved as design flaws were rectified and fleet hours increased. The DC-10's lifetime safety record is comparable to similar second-generation passenger jets as of 2008. Cargo door problem, edit. Main articles: American Airlines Flight 96 and Turkish Airlines Flight 981. The DC-10 has cargo doors that open outward. This allows the cargo area to be completely filled, as the doors do not occupy otherwise usable interior space when open. To overcome the outward force from pressurization of the fuselage at high altitudes, outward opening doors must use heavy locking mechanisms. In the event of a door lock malfunction, there is greater potential for explosive decompression. On the 12th of June, 1972, American Airlines Flight 96 lost its aft cargo door above Windsor, Ontario. Before takeoff, the door appeared secure, but the internal locking mechanism was not fully engaged. When the aircraft reached approximately 11,750 feet, 3,580 m, in altitude, the door blew out, and the resulting explosive decompression collapsed the cabin floor. Many control cables to the empennage were cut, leaving the pilots with very limited control of the aircraft. Despite this, the crew performed a safe emergency landing. U.S. National Transportation Safety Board, NTSB, investigators found the cargo door design to be dangerously flawed, as the door could be closed without the locking mechanism fully engaged, and this condition was not apparent from visual inspection of the door nor from the cargo door indicator in the cockpit. The NTSB recommended modifications to make it readily apparent to baggage handlers when the door was not secured, and also recommended adding vents to the cabin floor so that the pressure difference between the cabin and cargo bay during decompression could quickly equalize without causing further damage. Although many carriers voluntarily modified the cargo doors, no airworthiness directive was issued, due to a gentleman's agreement between the head of the FAA, John H. Schaffer, and the head of McDonnell Douglas's aircraft division, Jackson McDowell. McDonnell Douglas made some modifications to the cargo door, but the basic design remained unchanged, and problems persisted. On the 3rd of March, 1974, in an accident circumstantially similar to American Airlines Flight 96, a cargo door blowout caused Turkish Airlines Flight 981 to crash near Amenonville, France, in the deadliest air crash in history at the time. 346 passengers and crew died. The cargo door of Flight 981 had not been fully locked, though it appeared so to both cockpit crew and ground personnel. The Turkish aircraft had a seating configuration that exacerbated the effects of decompression, and as the cabin floor collapsed into the cargo bay, control cables were severed and the aircraft became uncontrollable. Investigators found that the DC-10's relief vents were not large enough to equalize the pressure between the passenger and cargo compartments during explosive decompression. Following this crash, a special subcommittee of the United States House of Representatives investigated the cargo door issue and the certification by the Federal Aviation Administration, FAA, of the original design. An airworthiness directive was issued, and all DC-10s underwent mandatory door modifications. The DC-10 experienced no more major incidents related to its cargo door after FAA-approved changes were made. Other major accidents, edit. Main articles: American Airlines Flight 191 and United Airlines Flight 232. On the 25th of May, 1979, American Airlines Flight 191 crashed immediately after takeoff from Chicago O'Hare Airport. Its left engine and pylon assembly swung upward over the top of the wing, severing the leading edge slat actuator hydraulic lines. The slats retracted under the aerodynamic forces, causing the left wing to stall. This, combined with asymmetric thrust due to the missing engine, caused the aircraft to rapidly roll to the left, descend, and crash, killing all 271 people on board and 2 on the ground. Following the crash, the FAA withdrew the DC-10's type certificate on the 6th of June, 1979, grounding all U.S. registered DC-10s and those from nations with agreements with the United States, and banning all DC-10s from U.S. airspace. These measures were rescinded 5 weeks later on the 13th of July, 1979, after the slat actuation and position systems were modified, along with stall warning and power supply changes. In November, 1979, the FAA fined American Airlines for removing the engine and its pylon as a single unit in its maintenance procedure, thus damaging the structure and causing the engine separation, rather than removing the engine from the pylon before removing the pylon from the wing as advised by McDonnell Douglas. On the 19th of July, 1989, United Airlines Flight 232 crashed at Sioux City, Iowa, after an uncontained engine failure of the tail engine earlier in the flight disabled all hydraulic systems and rendered most flight controls inoperable. The flight crew, assisted by a deadheading DC-10 flight instructor, performed a partially controlled emergency landing by constantly adjusting the thrust of the remaining 2 engines. 185 people on board survived, but 111 others died, and the aircraft was destroyed. The DC-10 was designed without backup flight controls because it was considered extremely improbable that all hydraulic systems would fail. However, due to their close proximity under the tail engine, the engine failure ruptured all 3, resulting in a total loss of control of the elevators, ailerons, spoilers, horizontal stabilizers, rudder, flaps, and slats. Following the accident, hydraulic fuses were installed in the #3 hydraulic system below the tail engine on all DC-10 aircraft to ensure that sufficient control remains if all 3 hydraulic systems are damaged in this area. Other accidents with fatalities, edit. On the 3rd of November, 1973, National Airlines Flight 27, a DC-10-10 cruising at 39,000 feet, 12,000 m, experienced an uncontained failure of the right engine. One cabin window separated from the fuselage after it was struck by debris flung from the exploding engine. The passenger sitting next to that window was killed and ejected from the aircraft. The crew initiated an emergency descent and landed the aircraft safely. To the 1st of March, 1978, Continental Airlines Flight 603, a DC-10-10, commenced a takeoff from Los Angeles International Airport when the recapped tread of a tire on the left main landing gear separated, causing the blowout of 2 adjacent tires, which ruptured a fuel tank. This, combined with excessive heat from the rejected takeoff, resulted in a massive fire. 2 passengers were killed in the ensuing evacuation and 2 died later from injuries sustained in the accident. The 31st of October, 1979, Western Airlines Flight 2605, a DC-10-10, collided with construction equipment after landing on a closed runway at Mexico City International Airport, killing 72 of the 88 people on board and 1 person on the ground. The crash was caused by failure to follow proper landing guidelines in consideration of the fog on the runway. 4. The 28th of November, 1979, Air New Zealand Flight 901, DC-10-30ZKNZP, crashed into Mount Erebus on Ross Island, Antarctica during a sightseeing flight over the continent, killing all 257 on board. The accident was caused by the flight coordinates being altered without the flight crew's knowledge, combined with unique Antarctic weather conditions. 5. The 23rd of January, 1982, World Airways Flight 30, DC-10-30CF registration N113WA, overran the runway at Boston Logan International Airport and slid into the shallow water of Boston Harbor. 2 of the 200 passengers were not found, all 12 crew members survived. 6. The 13th of September, 1982, Spantax Flight 995, DC-10-30CFECDEG, was destroyed by fire after an aborted takeoff at Malaga, Spain. A total of 50 passengers were killed and 110 injured due to the flames. 7. The 27th of July, 1989, Korean Air Flight 803, DC-10-30HL 7328, crashed short of the runway in bad weather while trying to land at Tripoli, Libya. 75 of the 199 on board plus another 4 people on the ground were killed in the accident. 8. The 19th of September, 1989, UTA Flight 772, DC-10-30N54629, crashed in the Tenir Desert in Niger following an in-flight bomb explosion, claiming the lives of all 170 on board. 9. The 21st of December, 1992, Martin Air Flight 495, DC-10-30CFPHMBN, crashed while landing in bad weather at Faro, Portugal, killing 54 passengers and crew. 10. The 13th of June, 1996, Garuda Indonesia Flight 865, DC-10-30 Park GIE, had just taken off from Fukuoka Airport, Japan, when a high-pressure blade from the right engine separated. The aircraft was just a few feet above the runway, and the pilot decided to abort the takeoff. Consequently, the DC-10 skidded off the runway and came to a halt 1,600 feet, 490 m, past it, losing one of its engines and its landing gear. 3 passengers perished in the accident. 11. The 21st of December, 1999, Cubanada Aviation Flight 1216, DC-10-30 FGTDI, overran the runway at La Aurora International Airport, Guatemala City. 8 passengers and 8 crew members on board were killed, as were 2 people on the ground. Other hull losses, edit. 1. The 17th of December, 1973, Iberia Airlines Flight 933 crashed and struck the ALS system at Boston Logan International Airport, which collapsed the front landing gear. All 168 passengers and crew survived. This is the first hull loss of a DC-10 aircraft. 2. The 12th of November, 1975, Overseas National Airways, owner, Flight 032, DC-10-30 CFN1032F, accelerated through a flock of seagulls during its takeoff roll from John F. Kennedy International Airport on a ferry flight. The captain initiated a rejected takeoff, but the right-hand engine exploded, causing a partial braking failure. The pilots steered off the runway to avoid plowing into a blast fence, causing the landing gear to collapse and rupturing a fuel tank. The ensuing fire destroyed the aircraft. All 139 on board, all owner employees, survived with 32 suffering injuries. 3. The 2nd of January, 1976, Saudi Arabian Airlines Flight 5130, DC-10-30 CFN 1031F leased from owner, landed short of the runway at Istanbul Yeşilköy Airport, tearing off the left-hand engine and the left and center main landing gear. All 362 passengers evacuated safely while one of 13 crew members was injured. The accident was attributed to an excessively low approach, possibly caused by the first officer using the radar altimeter for altitude reference over irregular terrain. For the 3rd of December, 1983, Korean Airlines Flight 084, DC-10-30 freighter HL 7339, collided head-on during the takeoff roll with South Central Air Flight 59, Piper PA 31N35206, which was taking off from Anchorage International Airport. The Piper struck the DC-10's left and center main landing gear and 3 passengers sustained minor injuries. The DC-10 overran the runway and the 3 crew suffered serious injuries. Investigators determined that the Korean Airlines pilot became disoriented taxiing in fog, failed to follow correct procedures and confirm his position, and accidentally initiated takeoff from the wrong runway. 5. 21 May 1988, American Airlines Flight 70, DC-10-30 N136AA, overran runway 35L at Dallas/Fort Worth International Airport, DFW, after the flight crew attempted a rejected takeoff. 2 crew were seriously injured and the remaining 12 crew and 240 passengers escaped safely. The accident was attributed to a shortcoming in the original design standards. No requirement had existed to test whether partially worn brake pads could stop the aircraft during a rejected takeoff, and 8 of the 10 worn pad sets had failed. 6. 14 April 1993, American Airlines Flight 102, DC-10-30 N139AA, skidded off the runway on landing at DFW in a rainstorm, collapsing the nose and left main landing gear and badly damaging the left-hand engine and wing. 2 passengers suffered serious injuries during the emergency evacuation, while the remaining 187 passengers and 13 crew escaped safely. The NTSB attributed the crash to poor directional control technique by the captain. 7. 5 September 1996, FedEx Express Flight 1406, DC-10-10 FN68055, suffered an in-flight cargo fire while flying from Memphis, Tennessee to Boston, Massachusetts. The aircraft made a successful emergency landing at Stewart International Airport in Newburgh, New York. However, after evacuating all 5 crew members, the aircraft was consumed by fire and destroyed. 8. 18 December 2003, FedEx Express Flight 647, MD-10-10 FN364FE, was destroyed by fire after the right main landing gear collapsed due to a hard landing at Memphis International Airport. 1 of the 2 pilots and 1 of the 5 passengers, all deadheading FedEx employees, suffered minor injuries in the emergency evacuation. 9. 28 July 2006, FedEx Express Flight 630, MD-10-10 FN391FE, departed runway 18R and burned out at Memphis International Airport following the collapse of the left main landing gear. The 2 pilots and a single passenger suffered minor injuries during the emergency evacuation. The accident was attributed to improper landing gear maintenance. 10. 28 October 2016, FedEx Express Flight 910, MD-10-10 FN370FE, partially exited the runway at Fort Lauderdale Hollywood International Airport following the collapse of the left main landing gear. The accident was attributed to improper landing gear maintenance. Other notable incidents, edit. 1. The 7th of April, 1994, the flight crew of Federal Express Flight 705, DC-10-30N306FE, was attacked by a deadheading FedEx employee in an attempted murder-suicide intended to cause the aircraft to crash. The seriously injured crew returned to Memphis International Airport after subduing the hijacker, using aerobatic maneuvers and damaging the aircraft in the process. The aircraft was repaired and returned in service. To the 25th of July, 2000, the right-hand thrust reverser cowl door of Continental Airlines Flight 55, DC-10-30N13067, shed a strip of metal which landed on the runway at Charles de Gaulle Airport upon takeoff. Minutes later, Air France Flight 4590, operated by a Concorde, ran over the metal strip at high speed, bursting a tire and causing a fuel tank to rupture and burst into flames. The Concorde's pilots attempted to keep control of the aircraft, but it stalled and crashed. The strip of metal was traced to third-party replacement parts not approved by the FAA. 3. The 31st of January, 2001, Japan Airlines Flight 958, DC-10-40JA8546, was involved in a mid-air collision with a Japan Airlines Boeing 747-400 near Yaju. Both flight crews performed evasive maneuvers. All 677 aboard both aircraft survived, with 9 aboard the 747-400 seriously injured. Aircraft on display, edit. 1. The preserved forward fuselage segment of Monarch Airlines DC-10-30, GDMCA, is on display at Manchester Airport Runway Visitor Park, where it is used for teaching and school visits. 2. DC-10-39GANB, which previously belonged to Ghana Airways, was on display and used the La Tante DC-10 restaurant in Accra, Ghana as of 2014. 3. DC-10-10N220 or Flying Eye Hospital, previously owned by Orbis International, was retired in 2016 and is on display at the Pima Air and Space Museum in Tucson, Arizona. 4. DC-10-30ZAVT Victor Trimble, previously owned by British Caledonian Airways, is partially preserved as a nightclub in Bali. The tail end of the aircraft featuring the third engine is mounted on a rooftop in Bali. Specifications, edit. DC-10 airplane characteristics. Variant -10-30-40. Cockpit crew 3. STD seating 270, 222Y8 abreast at 34 plus 48 J6 abreast at 38. Maximum seating 399Y, 10 abreast at 2934 pitch, layout, FAA exit limit, 380. Cargo 26LD3 layout, main deck, 2288-125 or 3088-108 pallets. Length 182 feet 3.1 in /55.55 m 181 feet 7.2 in /55.35 m 182 feet 2.6 in /55.54 m. Height 57 feet 6 in /17.53 m 57 feet 7 in /17.55 m. Wingspan 155 feet 4 in /47.35 m 165 feet 4 in /50.39 m. Wing area 3,550 square feet. 330 m, 3,647 square feet, 338.8 m. Width 19 feet 9 in, 6.02 m, fuselage, 224 in, 569 centimeters, interior. OEW, PAX, £240,171 /108,940 kilograms £266,191 /120,742 kilograms £270,213 /122,567 kilograms to £430,000 /195,045 kilograms £540,000